What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here. Delarose.com. That's DELARROZ.com. You can head to the link in my newsletter. Wait a minute. You can head to the link in the description below. This is why I'm not a professional YouTuber. And sign up for my newsletter. And you get a free novel / graphic novel, both. It's awesome. You can get books and you can enjoy them. And you will never miss a video from me, which is great. So we are talking today about Joshua Lisec. I hope I pronounced his name right. I'm sorry if I didn't. But Joshua is a ghostwriter, as it says in his bio, and he's done a lot of successful books for a lot of successful people. He runs marketing courses. He's a very successful author with a huge following. And I came across this thread this morning, found it was very interesting for indie publishing in general. And I want to go and sort of analyze some of the tweets here from a fiction perspective, because there's a difference in the fiction cultural perspective rather than like the self-help or nonfiction market. But a lot of these same principles apply exactly as he's presenting them. So very cool. So like he says, first off, no one cares about the book you want to write until you write the book they actually want to read. This is true on a few levels. And I get so many messages from people, and I don't mean to be harsh to you guys if this is one of you, about their ideas. And they always tell me, hey, if I wrote a book about an alien invasion, would that be cool? And it's like, I don't know. I mean, write the book and find out if it's cool. You never have an idea of what's good with an idea until you actually have the execution of it. And this is a big portion of it. You can have all the ideas all day long. If you go to the #MWriting or #writing community, you'll see thousands of people just talking about their ideas and what they're going to do in their book and all that, and not much actually writing of the book. So until you actually have the book out, and again, like he says, if it's actually a book people want to read, you'll never know anything, whether it is actually a book you want to read. You have to put in the work first. It's kind of a catch-22, but it is what it is. A lot of writing stuff's going to be a catch-22, guys, and you're going to see this right all the way down the line. It's a really hard business to break into, but persistence is everything. A book description is direct response sales copy, not a diary entry. Absolutely. So again, this is formatted towards self-help. So he's trying to tell people who are writing nonfiction books not to write about themselves and talk about their past history of things. But this holds true for fiction also. You don't want to write your descriptions, which are actual descriptions of the book. You don't want to go through and like for my steampunk book for Steam and Country, if I had a description on Amazon that just said, Zara finds out that her dad's dead. She gets an airship. She flies off to the king. She starts talking with the king about the airship. Turns out she's the rightful owner of the airship. Turns out her father might be alive. And then she gathers a crew to try to figure out how to rescue him. That's very boring. So you want to write with leads that actually are with the genre first. So I immediately just be like, airship adventure. She has to save the kingdom. It's like a movie trailer. You want to get people hooked on what your book is. And so that's the point of a book description. There's a ton of these. This might be a long video. I hope it's not too long for you guys. Most ghostwriters should be in another line of work, and they are. For example, I know two who started around the same time. He mows lawns in the summer to pay the mortgage. That's about, the same thing with fiction authors. Most people are just doing this as a hobby. And that's okay. You're allowed to have a hobby that you like. Just recognize that, and don't get frustrated when there's people who are putting in full-time work into marketing and full-time work into books, and be like, why is my book not selling like that? I mean, it's odds are it's not going to, unless you have it as a full-time job, which is quite a risk. Even at that point, it's very hard to make it. Your book needs a course. Your course needs a book. This is all self-help stuff. This doesn't apply to fiction. So no one cares about your life story if they're not the hero in it. That's very true. And this goes for fiction authors also. If you're going off about, your experiences in writing, which again, I see so much in the writing community hashtags and things like that. You know what? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, your book matters, the story matters, and it's whether the people identify with and relate to the heroes or not. And that's it. Self-help is the new memoir. Memoir is the new self-help. These are also nonfiction things. Nobody took Amazon #1 bestseller seriously until Big Five published authors starting to brag about being one. Yeah, it's very interesting. I remember probably 3-4 years ago, whenever that was, I first got my Amazon bestseller tag in steampunk. I just got lambasted by people at Tor Books. Actually, the publisher of Tor Books went and started saying I'm not a real bestseller, etc. All these blue check marks who work for Tor and work for Bain and all that kept going off saying I'm not a real bestseller. And I'm like, I am a real bestseller. I've sold thousands of books. This is better than 99% of authors out there. So what are you talking about? I'm not a real It says bestseller right here on Amazon. I beat every other book in steampunk on Amazon, and I held that title for a few days. That's pretty awesome. So, but that's changed again. Now that authors are being picked up by the big five, which is now the big four, they are starting to realize that Amazon is a credential because they want to pick up authors who already sell for their stables at this point, and Amazon is a great indicator of that. If you want to be an author and you're not using Publisher Rocket, do you really want to be an author? Again, that's mostly for self-help stuff. I use Publisher Rocket to get keywords for my advertising, but I don't find it as helpful as I think nonfiction writers do for their stuff. It's an interesting tool, but research into that before you get into it as a fiction writer. Getting traditionally published is 100% worth the hype for an eensy-wincy number of authors. Yeah, I mean, I've gone with publishers. I've had a game novel published, which was the Star Realms Rescue Run game, and or book rather, of the actual card game / app. It was really cool. I worked for Deadlands in the RPG universe by making their Doomtown Reloaded card game flavor. So I've been in the industry, and I've actually worked on properties that are out there in the traditional industry per se. And yeah, it doesn't make as much money as I'm making now by any means. So it's one of those like feathers in your cap things. I used to use it because, again, people used to attack me all the time being like, he's only self-published. And I'd be like, actually, I've never self-published. And I always did that. And it was a lot of fun for a while, but it's also a lot more fun to make money and to control your own destiny. I'm going to stop right here, right in the middle of this, because this is a great time to plug my work. Speaking of which, I've got my bookstore here, and you can get any one of my books, and I'll sign them and send them to you. I have a disclaimer on here. I'm out of Flying Sparks Volume 1, Von Monocle 4 and 5, Colony Launch, and The Stars Asunder. So these 5 books, I can't get you in time for Christmas right now. They're on their way. They're not going to be out of stock forever, so I'll still sell them to you. You can get Flying Sparks Volume 1 digitally, though, right here as a digital graphic novel. So if you want to try out my comics, for example, you just go here, you can grab this. And if you wanted all 4 and just want to go full tilt into the series, which I recommend you do because it really gets good as it goes along, you just there's add-ons right here, and you just add more graphic novels like so, and that's how you can do that. It's really useful, and I've got this link down in the description below to make it easy for you. Please check out the comics and the books. I've got a little something for everybody. Support the channel and enjoy great fiction. So let's get back to this. I should also say hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. That's what we're trying to get going here. All right. Most famous novelists have 5 to 7 ghostwriters working on their next book at any given moment. This is very interesting, and this is happening a lot. So you see a lot of co-written books by the big authors. So you get like Eric Flint with his 1632 series, and you get like Craig Martell or what's the other guy's name? I don't remember. But you see a lot of books that have their names on it and have their co-writing on it. This happens a lot. And what happens is these guys have sales, and so they get writers under them. They get a contract with them. Sometimes it's for cash up front. Sometimes it's a percentage of the royalties. I almost dove into this with a major author. There was an offer of $1,200 up front per book. And I'm like, I could write a book in a month if I felt like it. But I really, at the end of the day, like I decided it wasn't worth the grind. I really just want to work on my own stuff. But usually the authors actually provide an outline for the story and then kind of edit it so it fits with their tone, and then somebody else actually writes it. So that's the case there. And it's a good way to get extra stories out, to provide content to fans. Uh, it's an interesting market. Writing is hard because we're not trained to think. Also true. Simple. If you want to understand your ancestors' aspirations, read the fiction they did. I really recommend this. I think getting a breadth of fiction and nonfiction from earlier times is always great. So you can just get a different way of thinking, a different way of writing, a different way of story structure. Because if you're caught in the rut of exactly what's going on with modern stuff, you're just going to churn out something that looks like everybody else's stuff. If you're not 100% certain you need a book, you 100% don't. This goes for writing, and it's true. So if you're sitting there waffling on whether you want to write a book, you probably are not that interested in actually going through with it. Yes, you need a plan to make $1,000 from selling 100 copies or fewer. If you don't have that plan, let's talk. This is really neat. And yes, with Amazon, if you're selling your books at $4.99 or $3.99 on Kindle, if you sell 100 copies, you're obviously not going to make a lot of money. But I've made $100,000 off of writing for 3 years standing. And I've done so without selling all that many books, at least on compared to some others. So I got the crowdfunding going. You always have super fans. There's a lot of different streams of revenue you can get, and you have to really work hard towards that in order to make this happen. I don't necessarily have a plan of making $100,000 from selling 100 copies or fewer, but I can do it on 1,000 copies. I don't know. The world needs to complete frameworks, more complete frameworks and fewer generic tips. Very true. Yeah, generic tips are not helpful for anyone, and that always frustrates me about seeing stuff like this. Publication is 1 day, launch is 18 months, longevity is 20 years. Great idea and great planning there. Some of my books really did not make it right out the gate. I mean, For Steaming Country did, Justified did, Flying Sparks did. But others trickle in over time. Like The Stars Entwined, I always talk about as that's kind of my baby universe, but it took forever for it to breach 1,000 copies sold. I think it took over 2 years to get there. And once it did, it really just started perpetuating itself. And, now that I'll have a trilogy out very shortly, it's going to perpetuate itself even more. But you got to remember that things take time. And this is my strategy with books. I want to come out with as many books as possible, because if somebody's buying one copy of all of my books per day, if I have 20 books out, that means I'm selling 20 copies. If I had one book out, that would mean I'm selling one copies. It adds up. Look at your table of contents. This isn't super applicable for fiction. Okay. 99% of inspirational quotes you're tweeting are ghostwriter penned. Very true. Most literary professionals are deathly afraid of the limelight. That's why I have over 160 videos on my YouTube channel. Yeah, this has always shocked me, because I talked to some comic professionals and they seem to be able to talk on YouTube in front of an audience a lot better. But I don't get a lot of book authors who want to come out and hang out and do interviews and build their audience that way. It always shocked me, because it's like, why wouldn't you utilize this sort of thing when you can connect directly with your audience? But a lot of people just have that inability or a shyness, I don't know, maybe something like that, to connect on this level. And it's going to set those of us that do it ahead. People will buy your book before hiring you just to confirm you're not full of crap. True. Amazon banned reviews on books from reviewers who the author has a relationship with. Yeah, this is standard stuff. Please assign the most credibility books. People assign the most with a 4.2 to 4.5 star average rating. Yes, and most of my books are in this range. I think all of them are, at least for the book ones. And there's a reason for this. People don't want a 5-star rating that's all the way, because they're like, wait a minute, this person must have bought reviews and got shill reviews and things like that. But if there's some negative reviews on there, that they know that people actually read this book. And the negative reviews can often be more helpful than the positive reviews. I use them for marketing, because most of my negative reviews actually come from people who want to pick at me personally. And so I can always point them out and tell people, oh my gosh, this guy wrote this review because he hates me. And it's obvious. And it's obvious he didn't even read the book. And that always sells me books every single time. It's a good marketing thing. I love my negative reviews. So leave me more, haters. Leave me more for people who like me too, because I got to keep that 4.2 to 4.5 star rating. Oh my gosh. Good writing is like a color palette. Yep. I often intuit the book my client should write. Sometimes they agree. That's why I'm a ghostwriter, not a co-author for hire. There you go. flop is the title. Yeah, and this goes for fiction too. It's really hard to come up with good titles, and I'm good at that for some reason. I don't know why, but at first I was really nervous about titles, and so what I did is I crowdsourced them. I'd come up with like 4 or 5 different titles for a book, and I would then put them out there and run polls around people who I trusted, with writers, etc., and find out which one they thought was best. This is just a classic market. It's focus group marketing, right? And that works really well. But you want to have a catchy title that isn't the same as like 50,000 other books, right? Because if you get confused with other books, they're not going to find your book. Very obvious. All right. One of the few authors whose stuff I read no matter what is Jay Abraham. His books are sales copy for consulting. Yours should be too. I don't know who that is, but maybe I'll check it out. If you try to repurpose your blog and social media content into a book without a professional's guidance, odds are high you will regret it. Yeah. That's very true for, this is all again for nonfiction writing, right? There's nothing new under the sun is a total lie. Yeah, absolutely on that. You always can come up with something new. It's good when you do. Some books are map, others are GPS, know yours. So this is pretty much the thread. We've gone through most of the stuff that's actually interesting for fiction and culture, which is what I'm about here on the channel. Good stuff all the way around. And I recommend following Joshua if you're interested in brand building and things like that. I love the whole business aspect of this stuff. It's very fun. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this was useful for some people out there. I'll put this under my like Novel Writers Pro Secrets brand, I guess. And then we will be back soon for more fun. See you guys. Hit the like and subscribe button. Buy books. Don't forget to do that.